Police in Tennessee are facing questions this morning over the drowning death of 24-year-old Johnny Baldwin last week as officers who were pursuing him stood by. According to the Herald Chronicle, DeSheritt and Winchester police reports said that Mr. Baldwin was driving erratically at about 2 a.m. in DeSheritt and was followed by police. Then, the Winchester Police Incident Report says that its officers assisted DeSheritt in trying to stop Baldwin on the road before he fled on foot and wound up in a lake. NBC News has obtained one officer's body cam video from the Baldwin family attorney showing what happened next. And I do want to warn our viewers, this video we're about to play is disturbing. We do not know what happens before the video begins, showing the officers realizing Baldwin was in the water. It goes on to show Baldwin struggling in the lake and yelling for help. Then one officer appears to offer to enter the water, but backs down as his partner warns him not to. Here's a portion of that 7-minute and 30-second body cam video.
Hey, Pudding Cup, keep coming.
How did you jump?
Well, then swim. Your dumb ass jumped in the river.
Don't let him jerk in that water in there.
Help me. Well, keep swimming. Come on.
What are we doing?
Let's go. I think he's getting too close to her.
No, let him fool you.
No. On my radio.
Nah, don't get him. You ain't getting.
Get
out of the water.
He's going underwater.
Going under, acting like he's drowning or something.
He's under, Cody. He's under.
He's doing it on purpose.
The police report also says the rescue squad and dive team were on the way before Baldwin went underwater, and an autopsy has been ordered. And in a separate statement, Winchester Police Department explained the actions of its officers by saying officers are not trained in water rescue. Officers do not possess water rescue gear or equipment. And it also points out the lack of visibility and challenges the setting posed to the officers' own safety. Joining me now is the Baldwin family attorney, Lance Northcutt. Mr. Northcutt, thank you so much for joining us. I know this is an extremely troubling time for the family, and so we appreciate you being here with us. Let's talk a little bit about how the family is doing, if I may. That video must have been very painful for them to watch.
The family's in shock, Ayman. Obviously, this came as a great surprise. And to have this broadcast to the family, for them to see their loved one literally begging for his life, and having those officers not only stand idly by, but make fun of him. That's something that they just can't get out of their mind. It's searing right now. As we're sitting here today, the family's making arrangements to bury this young man who's sitting in a morgue drawer in the county morgue in Tennessee.
I wonder if I can draw the juxtaposition between the statement that the police has put out saying that their officers are not trained in water rescues with the words that you hear on that recording from the body cam. How do you explain that? Do you think that they even made enough of an effort to try and save him, or does the language that was used in the way they described the situation, that perhaps he was faking his own drowning or that he was going under, suggest that they weren't serious about helping him? How do you read that?
I read that as they made a calculated decision to let this man die. If you listen to the words that are spoken on that tape, and then you juxtapose that with what Chief Lewis said, where he comes up with first the excuse, my sergeant can't swim. Okay, let's go with that narrative for a second. If it's impossible for a police sergeant to swim in the presence of all these other officers who I guess couldn't swim either, is it possible that maybe in the middle of a forest you could pick up a branch and extend it to a drowning man? Is it possible that as he saw this man drowning, if he really thought that somehow he was a threat, that he could have told the rescue crew to expedite, that this wasn't just a question of someone in the water, but someone who is now drowning? How is it possible that he was so ill-equipped and so afraid that he couldn't be compelled to act? And then when you look at what's on that video, when you see the scorn on the words of these officers, when they're going off, literally mocking him, calling him pudding cup, a man who is dying. What kind of a human being does that? And I think about police officers, and I mean, there's so many police officers that go in and day out, they're heroes. They run towards the danger, that old notion of serve and protect. They just let him drown.
Let me ask you about the next steps. What does any kind of justice, any kind of accountability for the Baldwin family, for Johnny Baldwin, look like? What are you seeking in this position?
Well, right now, and you alluded to it earlier, Ayman, the first thing that we want to do is get answers. We don't know what happened before this video starts, and we don't know what happened after this video starts. What we do know is the sickening sense of inaction that was pervasive on the part of these police officers. And maybe the greatest tragedy here is there was at least one officer who had the presence of mind, and you saw him on the video taking off his gun belt, getting ready to go in. He was prepared to act. And he got waved off by a police sergeant who was supervising the scene. And at that point, there was no attempt to rescue. There was no extend this guy a branch. Even after he went under, and I think back to Chief Lewis's words that, somehow this was about officer safety. Well, after the guy goes under and he's not moving, are you still afraid of him? Is that really what you're worried about? So from our perspective right now, Ayman, what we're looking to do is get answers. We're in the middle of our investigation. It's in the early stages. We want to see what happened that led to this interaction and what happened afterwards. And then we'll make our determinations from there.
Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Why don't you subscribe? It's really easy. Just click on that button down there. And for more news from MSNBC, click on any of these videos here for the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more videos from MSNBC with our newsletters. Head over to msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up.